First contact and betrayal. The massive alien vessel appeared without warning, materializing just beyond the moon's orbit. Earth's military forces scrambled, politicians panicked, and civilians stared at their screens in disbelief. First contact had arrived not with radio signals from distant stars, but with a kilometer-long spacecraft demanding an audience with Earth's leaders. They called themselves the Galactic Hegemony, a coalition of 17 intelligent species spanning hundreds of star systems. Their ambassador, a tall, elegant being with pearlescent skin and six-fingered hands named Sorvin, spoke perfect English as he addressed the hastily assembled United Nations Security Council via holographic projection. "We come in peace," Sorvin said, his voice melodic and soothing. "The hegemony wishes to welcome humanity into our galactic community. Your species shows remarkable potential." 2 days later, Earth dispatched its first interstellar diplomatic mission. 12 representatives from the world's most powerful nations boarded a shuttle bound for the hegemony vessel. Among them was Takeda Hiroshi, Japan's deputy foreign minister, a slender man with calm eyes and a perpetual half-smile. What his credentials didn't mention was his other title, the 23rd Grandmaster of the Kurosawa clan, keepers of the ancient ninja traditions, modernized for the 21st century. UN Secretary General Maya Okafor led the delegation, her commanding presence filling the shuttle despite her small stature. "Remember," she told the assembled diplomats, "we represent all of humanity today. The future of our species depends on making a good impression." Takeda nodded politely, but his training had taught him to trust nothing without verification. As the shuttle docked with the alien vessel, he activated the nanoscale sensors woven into his formal diplomatic attire, technology that blended the ancient ninja arts of information gathering with cutting-edge Japanese innovation. The hegemony ship's interior was a marvel of organic technology. Corridors seemed to breathe, lighting adjusted automatically to human comfort levels, and the air carried a faint scent of cinnamon. Sorvin led the delegation through a series of increasingly magnificent chambers, explaining aspects of hegemony culture and technology with practiced ease. "The overseers have guided our civilization for 12,000 years," Sorvin explained, as they passed a holographic display showing star systems linked by glowing lines. "Under their wisdom, we have eliminated war, poverty, and disease across 17 species and over 300 worlds." "And what do the overseers expect from Earth?" Takeda asked quietly. Sorvin's smile never wavered. "Only that you join us in peaceful cooperation. The universe is vast, but resources are finite. United, we thrive. Divided, we perish." The diplomatic reception that followed dazzled the Earth delegation. Beings of various forms mingled in a vast chamber with walls that shifted between translucent and opaque. Foods tailored to human biochemistry were served alongside displays of hegemony art and science. But Takeda's sensors were collecting troubling data. Beneath the visible light spectrum, patterns of ultraviolet emissions pulsed throughout the ship, a secondary communication network invisible to the human eye. His translation algorithms struggled to decode the signals, but fragments suggested discussions about human threat assessment and preemptive measures. When the delegation retired to their luxurious guest quarters, Takeda slipped away under the pretense of meditation. The Kurosawa clan had prepared for this possibility ever since astronomers detected the first potential technosignatures a decade earlier. His diplomatic credentials were real, but they were also his cover. In the privacy of his quarters, Takeda removed a seemingly ordinary fountain pen from his jacket. With precise movements, he disassembled it, revealing a quantum processor capable of breaking most encryption. He connected it to his sensor array and began a more aggressive analysis of the intercepted communications. "Computer," he whispered, "decode priority alpha." The results made his blood run cold. The hegemony's diplomatic overtures were a facade. Their true assessment classified humanity as a Category 5 disruptor species, unpredictable, innovative, and dangerously adaptable. The hegemony's standard protocol for such species was clear: decapitation strikes against leadership, followed by controlled integration of the remaining population. Takeda's heart raced as he scanned further. The hegemony had already dispatched their elite covert agents, beings they called Void Walkers, to Earth. These assassins specialized in eliminating leadership structures while maintaining the appearance of natural causes or internal conflicts. He needed to warn Earth immediately. Takeda activated his emergency transmitter, but the signal couldn't penetrate the ship's hull. He would need to reach the communications center or return to the shuttle. Either option meant moving through a vessel filled with aliens who, despite their smiles, planned humanity's subjugation. Takeda centered himself with a breathing technique passed down through 23 generations of ninja masters. He changed from his formal attire into a close-fitting black garment hidden in a false compartment of his luggage. Modern fabrics made it lighter and more flexible than what his ancestors wore, with integrated technology that could bend light around him. Not true invisibility, but enough to confuse most surveillance systems. The corridors were quieter now, with most of the ship's crew resting during the simulated night cycle. Takeda moved silently, his footsteps making no sound on the organic flooring. His goal was the shuttle bay. If he could reach it, he might be able to send a warning to Earth. He nearly made it. 3 levels down, just 2 sections away from the shuttle bay. A door slid open unexpectedly. Zorvan emerged, accompanied by 2 tall, gaunt figures Takeda hadn't seen before. Their skin was ash gray, and where eyes should be, they had only reflective black surfaces. "The human delegation has been effectively contained," Zorvan was saying. "The paralytic agent in their refreshments will keep them unconscious until the Void Walkers complete their mission on Earth." Takeda froze, his camouflage technology barely concealing him in the shadow of a support column. One of the gray beings spoke, its voice like grinding metal. "The first elimination team has already reached the target planet. The second team departs within the hour. Primary targets include all major military commanders, political leaders, and key scientific personnel." "Excellent," Zorvan replied. "With their leadership structure compromised, the humans will be too disorganized to resist when we reveal our true intentions. The overseers are particularly interested in harvesting their genetic adaptability." As they passed, one of the gray beings paused, its head turning slightly toward Takeda's position. For a heart-stopping moment, he thought he'd been detected. Then it continued walking, following Zorvan around the corner. Takeda waited 10 seconds before continuing toward the shuttle bay. Inside, he found 2 hegemony technicians performing maintenance on the Earth shuttle. He would need to neutralize them without raising an alarm. From his belt, he removed 2 shuriken, not the crude throwing stars of popular imagination, but precision instruments containing a fast-acting sedative. With a flick of his wrist, both technicians were down before they registered his presence. Takeda boarded the shuttle and activated its communication array. "Emergency Protocol Icarus," he transmitted to Earth's Space Command. "First contact hostile. Repeat, first contact hostile. Assassination teams en route to Earth targeting leadership. Delegation compromised." He had just finished transmitting when the shuttle bay doors slid open. 6 security drones floated in, their weapons trained on the shuttle. Behind them stood Zorvan, his previously friendly expression replaced by cold calculation. "Ambassador Takeda," Zorvan called out, "you disappoint me. I had hoped humans would accept their place in the hegemony without resistance." Takeda assessed his options. The shuttle was fueled and ready, but the bay doors remained closed. Even if he could launch, the hegemony vessel could easily destroy a diplomatic shuttle. "We detected your transmission," Zorvan continued, approaching the shuttle. "Primitive but effective. Unfortunately for Earth, our Void Walkers are already in position. By the time your warning reaches anyone with authority to act, your world's leadership will already be in chaos." Takeda's hand moved to his belt, selecting a smoke dispenser disguised as a cufflink. "The people of Earth will surprise you," he said, pressing the hidden trigger. Dense smoke filled the shuttle bay, opaque to both visible light and the infrared spectrum the security drones appeared to use. In the confusion, Takeda slipped from the shuttle and moved toward the bay control console. The security drones fired blindly, their energy weapons scorching the walls. Taking advantage of the chaos, Takeda reached the console and initiated the emergency launch sequence. Alarms blared as atmosphere began venting from the bay. Zorvin shouted commands, trying to override the sequence, but Takeda had already locked the system. The massive bay doors began to slide open, exposing the shuttle to the vacuum of space. "You cannot save them," Zorvin called out, his voice distorted by the rushing air. "The Void Walkers cannot be stopped once deployed." Takeda made his decision in an instant. If he remained on the ship, he would be captured and Earth would lose valuable intelligence about the enemy. If he returned to Earth, he might be able to counter the Void Walkers, especially since he now knew what to look for. As the bay depressurized, Takeda sprinted for the shuttle, his specialized training allowing him to function even as the air thinned. He sealed himself inside just as the last of the atmosphere vented into space. The shuttle's autopilot engaged, recognizing the emergency launch condition. It fired thrusters, pushing away from the hegemony vessel and plotting a return trajectory to Earth. From the cockpit, Takeda watched as the alien ship grew smaller behind him. They would pursue, no doubt, but the shuttle had been designed with stealth capabilities to avoid detection by Earth's own defense systems, capabilities that might now help him evade alien sensors long enough to reach home. He turned his attention to the shuttle's medical supplies, finding and injecting himself with a stimulant to counteract the fatigue of his escape. Then he began systematically reviewing everything he had learned about the Void Walkers. If these alien assassins were already on Earth, he would need every advantage to counter them. The shuttle's communication system chimed with an incoming transmission. The view screen showed a face Takeda recognized, General Kimethi of Earth Space Command. "Ambassador Takeda," the general said, his expression grave, "we received your emergency transmission. Is the rest of the delegation with you?" "No," Takeda replied. "They've been drugged and are being held captive. But that's not our most immediate concern. The hegemony has sent assassins to Earth, specialists they call Void Walkers. Their targets are our political and military leadership." The general's expression darkened. "We've already had 3 incidents. The British Prime Minister collapsed during a speech, apparent heart attack. The Chinese Defense Minister's aircraft disappeared over the Pacific. And 20 minutes ago, half the Joint Chiefs were found dead in the Pentagon. Cause unknown." It had already begun. Takeda's grip tightened on the shuttle controls. "I have information about these assassins, their methods, their technology. I'll be landing in approximately 4 hours. We'll have a security team waiting," the general said. "And Ambassador Takeda, Earth is counting on you." As the shuttle accelerated toward Earth, Takeda closed his eyes briefly, centering himself with the meditative techniques of his ancestors. For centuries, the Kurosawa clan had served Japan from the shadows, adapting their ancient ninja arts to meet new threats. Now, Takeda would use those same skills to defend not just his nation, but all of humanity. The hegemony had sent their Void Walkers to decapitate Earth's defenses. They were about to discover that humans had shadow warriors of their own. Earth's shadow warrior. Takeda's shuttle touched down at a remote airbase in northern Japan, far from the chaos engulfing the world's capitals. News networks reported a wave of unexplained deaths and disappearances among global leaders, 17 confirmed in the 6 hours since his escape from the hegemony vessel. The pattern was clear to those who knew what to look for. The Void Walkers were methodically eliminating Earth's command structure. General Kimethi met him personally, accompanied by a multinational security team. The general's face was haggard, his uniform rumpled from hours of crisis management. "Half the UN Security Council is dead," Kimethi said as they hurried toward awaiting transport. "The rest are in hiding. Military chains of command are in disarray worldwide. Whatever these void walkers are, they're damned effective. Takeda nodded grimly. They're bioengineered assassins, the hegemony's solution for dealing with problematic species. I've analyzed the data I gathered on their ship. He handed the general a data crystal. They have advanced camouflage technology, can alter their biochemistry to survive in various environments, and carry weapons that leave no traditional evidence. How do we fight them? Asked Colonel Hernandez, the American representative on the security team. We need to understand how they hunt, Takeda replied. From what I gathered, Voidwalkers track their targets through quantum entanglement. Before they were deployed, they were exposed to quantum signatures of Earth's leaders, like molecular fingerprints at a distance. The transport took them to a hidden facility beneath an abandoned industrial complex, one of Japan's contingency sites for existential threats. Inside, representatives from surviving military and intelligence agencies had assembled, their faces displaying varying degrees of shock and determination. Takeda connected his equipment to the facility's systems and displayed everything he had learned about the Voidwalkers. They're not invincible, he explained. Their advantages come from specialized biology and technology, but they have limitations. On screen, he showed a simulation of the alien assassins' capabilities. They can't maintain their camouflage indefinitely. It depletes their energy reserves. They need to rest and recharge approximately every 12 hours. Most importantly, they're operating on unfamiliar terrain against a species they've underestimated. Underestimated how? Asked a Russian intelligence officer. Takeda's expression hardened. The hegemony classifies us as a disruptor species, unpredictable and innovative. Those are traits they fear, but they don't understand the full extent of human adaptability or our capacity for resistance. He turned to General Kimathi. I need access to specialized equipment from my government's advanced defense projects, and I need freedom to operate without bureaucratic constraints. The general exchanged glances with the other leaders before nodding. You have it. What's your plan? I'm going to hunt the hunters, Takeda said simply. Within 2 hours, Takeda had transformed from diplomat to warrior. His combat suit combined cutting-edge technology with design principles dating back to feudal Japan. Layers of carbon nanotubes provided protection against energy weapons while maintaining flexibility. Integrated sensors could detect the unique radiation signature emitted by the Voidwalkers' camouflage systems. Most importantly, quantum dampening circuits disrupted the entanglement pathways the aliens used to track their targets. The first team consisted of 6 Voidwalkers, according to the communications I intercepted. Takeda told the command staff. Based on the pattern of assassinations, I believe they're operating in pairs. I'll start in Tokyo, where the defense minister was targeted 12 hours ago. Colonel Hernandez frowned. One man against these things, even with your unique background. Those odds seem suicidal. Takeda checked the specialized weapons attached to his suit, a combination of traditional ninja tools and modern innovations. The Kurosawa clan has been defending Japan from threats for nearly 800 years, Colonel. We've always adapted our methods to meet new challenges. General Kimathi stepped forward. While Ambassador Takeda pursues the direct approach, we'll implement the countermeasures he's provided. Quantum shielding for remaining leaders, radiation sweeps of all government facilities, and the communication protocols that should help us detect the aliens' presence. The hegemony expects us to fall into disarray, Takeda said. We must prove them wrong by maintaining cohesion even as they target our leadership. Every hour we resist gives us time to prepare a broader defense. As night fell over Tokyo, Takeda moved through the shadows of the sprawling metropolis. His suit's sensors were calibrated to detect the specific energy signature of Voidwalker technology, scanning continuously as he traversed the rooftops and alleyways near the government district. 3 hours into his search, the sensors registered a faint reading, a trace of exotic radiation matching the hegemony's stealth systems. Takeda followed the signature to a luxury hotel overlooking the Imperial Palace, where several international delegations had been staying before the crisis began. The hotel's security systems had been subtly compromised, not disabled, but looped to hide any unusual activity. Takeda bypassed them using techniques perfected by his clan, making his way to the penthouse level where the radiation signature was strongest. Outside the presidential suite, he paused, activating his suit's enhanced sensory systems. Through the door, he detected two heartbeats with patterns distinctly non-human, faster and more irregular than any terrestrial species. Takeda prepared his weapons, shuriken loaded with a neural disruptor tailored to the Void Walker's biology, based on data from the hegemony ship. His sword, a modern take on the traditional ninjutsu, hummed faintly with an electromagnetic field designed to penetrate the alien's defenses. He didn't bother with the door. Instead, he moved to the balcony, scaling the exterior wall with technology that mimicked the adhesive properties of gecko feet. Through the polarized glass, he could see distortions in the air, the Void Walkers, visible only as heat shimmer outlines, preparing what appeared to be a specialized weapon. Their target became clear when Takeda accessed the hotel's guest registry through his suit's interface. The newly appointed UN Secretary-General had checked in earlier that day, following his predecessor's assassination. Takeda struck without warning. A specialized charge breached the balcony door, simultaneously releasing a pulse that temporarily disrupted the alien's camouflage systems. As the door shattered, he launched 4 shuriken in rapid succession, each finding its mark in the now visible gray flesh of the nearest Void Walker. The creature shrieked, a high metallic sound, as the neural disruptor took effect, causing its camouflage to fail completely. Its partner reacted with inhuman speed, firing an energy weapon that scorched the wall where Takeda had been standing a split second earlier. Takeda rolled beneath the blast, closing the distance to the second Void Walker. Its skin shifted color rapidly, trying to adapt to its surroundings, but Takeda's visor could still track its outline. His sword struck with precision, severing the alien's weapon arm before he spun to deliver a killing blow. The first Void Walker, partially paralyzed by the neural disruptor, attempted to activate what appeared to be a communication device. Takeda's final shuriken pinned the device to the creature's hand, disabling both. "You were not in our target parameters," the Void Walker hissed, its voice barely comprehensible through its damaged systems. "What are you?" Takeda stood over the creature, sword ready. "I am what you failed to account for. Earth doesn't just have leaders. We have guardians." He extracted critical intelligence from the alien before ending its life, learning that 16 Void Walkers had been deployed globally in the first wave, with more preparing to depart from the hegemony vessel. Their primary objective was to eliminate 80% of Earth's governmental and military leadership within 48 hours, creating sufficient chaos for the hegemony to present itself as a stabilizing force. Most critically, he discovered the quantum frequency the Void Walkers used to communicate with their handlers on the hegemony ship, information that might allow Earth's defenses to track and target the remaining assassins. Over the next 18 hours, Takeda hunted Void Walkers across 3 continents, using the intelligence gathered from each encounter to find the next. 2 in Berlin, eliminating European Union leadership. 3 in Washington, D.C., targeting military command structures. 1 in Moscow, attempting to access nuclear launch codes. Each confrontation taught him more about their capabilities and limitations. The Void Walkers possessed strength and speed beyond human norms, but their reliance on technology made them vulnerable to targeted countermeasures. Most importantly, they had never encountered a resistance force specifically trained to counter their methods. Between hunts, Takeda coordinated with the emergency command structure General Kimathi had established. Earth's surviving leaders had implemented the countermeasures he provided, making each subsequent assassination attempt more difficult for the Void Walkers. Military forces worldwide were now equipped with sensors capable of detecting the alien's presence, slowly turning the tide. But the critical moment came when Takeda tracked a Void Walker to a Chinese military installation, where it had infiltrated a satellite control center. This wasn't an assassination mission. It was something else. Takeda eliminated the alien, but not before it had transmitted a signal to the orbiting hegemony vessel. Analysis of the transmission revealed the Void Walker's secondary objective. If the assassination campaign failed to sufficiently destabilize Earth's defenses, they were to initiate a more direct approach, targeting nuclear facilities and communication systems to create global chaos. Their shifting strategies, Takeda reported to the Emergency Council. The assassinations were only Phase 1. Phase 2 involves infrastructure attacks designed to turn us against each other. General Kimathi's holographic image looked grim. We've detected multiple breaches at nuclear facilities in Pakistan, North Korea, and France. If they trigger meltdowns or missile launches, we need to find their commander. Takeda interrupted. Each Void Walker team reports to a superior, a handler, according to the communications I intercepted. Find the handler, and we can disrupt their entire operation. The breakthrough came from an unlikely source. Dr. Sophia Chen, an astrophysicist who had been analyzing the quantum communication patterns between the Void Walkers, identified a signal convergence point. All their communications route through a central node, she explained, highlighting a location in the Rocky Mountains. Based on the signal strength and pattern, I believe their handler is coordinating from there, probably chosen for its natural mineral deposits that help shield their presence from our detection systems. Takeda deployed immediately, traveling via hypersonic transport to a remote region of Colorado. The landscape was rugged, all towering pines and snow-covered peaks, with a heavy storm moving in that would provide additional cover for both hunter and hunted. His suit's sensors detected faint traces of the now familiar radiation signature, leading him to an abandoned mining complex built into the mountainside. As he approached, his communications with the Emergency Council became intermittent, then failed completely. Signal jamming technology, more advanced than what the individual Void Walkers carried. Inside the mine, Takeda moved with heightened caution. The narrow tunnels would limit his mobility, giving the advantage to defenders who knew the terrain. His sensors indicated multiple Void Walker signatures ahead, at least 4 distinct energy patterns, plus something else, something stronger. The handler revealed itself in a cavernous chamber at the heart of the mine. Unlike the gray-skinned Void Walkers, this being was massive, its iridescent exoskeleton reflecting the dim light. Where the assassins were built for stealth, the handler was clearly designed for command and combat. Human, it spoke, its voice resonating through the chamber. You have caused considerable inconvenience to the hegemony's plans. Takeda assessed his surroundings. 4 Void Walkers positioned strategically around the chamber, and at its center, what appeared to be a quantum communication array linking directly to the orbiting hegemony vessel. Your assassination program has failed, Takeda replied, slowly circling to get a better position. Earth now knows your intentions. We're already implementing countermeasures against your technology. The handler made a sound like grinding crystal. Laughter, perhaps. The elimination protocol was merely one approach. If it failed, we anticipated employing more direct methods. It gestured to the communication array. Even now, the hegemony vessel prepares to demonstrate its weapons capabilities on your major population centers. A miscalculation, Takeda said. If you attack openly, you unite us against a common enemy. Perhaps, but a sufficiently primitive species can be united in fear as easily as defiance. The overseers have subdued 17 species before yours. Some required more persuasion than others. Takeda had positioned himself near one of the support columns for the cavern. Then you haven't encountered humans before. We don't respond well to threats. He struck with calculated precision, not at the handler or the Void Walkers, but at the communication array, a specialized EMP device, one of his last remaining weapons, detonated against the alien technology, sending cascading energy surges through its quantum processors. The handler roared as the array exploded, severing its connection to the hegemony vessel. The Void Walkers moved in unison, converging on Takeda with inhuman speed. But he had anticipated this, triggering charges he placed during his approach to the chamber. The cavern's ceiling collapsed in strategic locations, crushing two of the Voidwalkers instantly and separating the others from their commander. In the chaos of falling rock and dust, Takeda engaged the remaining assassins, his training and technology turning the environment to his advantage. The final confrontation with the handler tested Takeda to his limits. The alien commander possessed strength that could shatter stone and reflexes that made even Takeda's enhanced movements seem sluggish by comparison. But the ninja had one advantage the handler couldn't counter: intimate knowledge of terrain the alien considered beneath its notice. Luring the handler deeper into the mine, Takeda enacted the final phase of his plan. The alien's arrogance made it predictable, following him into narrower tunnels where its size became a hindrance rather than an asset. When they reached the lowest level, Takeda detonated his remaining charges, collapsing the mine's primary support structures. As tons of rock crashed down around them, Takeda utilized escape routes he had identified during his approach. The handler, unfamiliar with the terrain and too large for the emergency shafts Takeda navigated, was buried beneath the mountain it had chosen as its base. Emerging from an air shaft 2 kilometers from the mine entrance, Takeda watched as the mountainside partially collapsed. His suit was damaged, his weapons depleted, but the handler and its remaining Voidwalkers were neutralized. When communications were restored, he learned that without the handler's coordination, the remaining Voidwalkers had become disorganized and were being systematically hunted down by Earth's military forces using the detection methods he had provided. More importantly, the hegemony vessel, after losing contact with its ground forces, had retreated beyond the moon's orbit. Intercepted communications suggested they were reassessing their approach, having failed to anticipate the effectiveness of Earth's resistance. 1 week after Takeda's escape from the hegemony ship, an emergency session of surviving world leaders convened to address the alien threat. The diplomatic delegation remained captive, but Earth now understood the hegemony's true intentions. General Kamathi presented the unified defense plan developed from Takeda's intelligence. We've reverse-engineered key components of the Voidwalker technology. Our scientists are already adapting it to enhance our defensive capabilities. More importantly, we've developed methods to detect and counter their stealth systems. A Chinese general leaned forward, and when they return with greater force, they will find us ready, Takeda said, now officially recognized as Earth's first director of extraterrestrial defense. The hegemony's approach relies on species that surrender after decapitation strikes. We've demonstrated that humans don't follow that pattern. He displayed images of defense installations being constructed in orbit, incorporating principles derived from the alien technology. Every day we prepare strengthens our position. The hegemony has never failed to subjugate a target species, until now. That uncertainty will make them cautious. As the Council discussed next steps, Takeda's thoughts turned to the captive Earth delegation. Their rescue would be the next mission, one requiring all the skills of the Kurosawa clan tradition he represented. The hegemony had sent their most effective killers to eliminate Earth's leadership, expecting a primitive species